Hey everyone, this is Russell. I want to welcome you guys to the training webinar. I apologize for starting a few minutes late. I was just getting all the pieces and the notes and everything together so that we can cover everything that's going to be awesome for you guys. So glad you got a lot of you guys on. So I appreciate you guys jumping on. I know it's kind of last minute. I just it's been a couple weeks since I've talked to you guys, and I felt bad, and I wanted to do something really cool before the weekend. And I had a couple of you guys who are actually actively working on your webinar presentations right now. And I thought, you know what? I think that this would be a really fun thing to do. So that is the game plan. Let me shut out of my Skype really quick so there's no noises to interrupt us. All right. So I'm excited, you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So what are we talking about today is we're going to be talking about how to structure a sales webinar. I call this the perfect webinar. And the reason why I call it perfect webinar is because I've literally been doing webinars and stage presentations for, man, it's getting pretty dang close to 10 years. So about a decade, but not quite that long. And I tell you that learning how to do this the right way was not necessarily an easy process. It was way different than I thought, and I learned a lot along the way. So I want to just shortcut you guys and just give you the template and the script for what I think is the perfect webinar. So that way, the first time out of the gate, or maybe not the first, but as close to the first time out of the gate, you can have a perfect webinar that you can get on and you can sell people and make some money really, really quickly. I honestly think one of the fastest ways to make money on the internet is to do a webinar. Like if you said, "Hey Russell, I need you to make 100 grand tomorrow, or else I'm gonna kidnap your family," I would put together a webinar. Like that would be it. And so I'm gonna show you guys, kind of go through everything that I've learned over the last 10 years to do these, and then I'm gonna actually show you how I did this here with one of my webinars I did recently called High Ticket Secrets. A lot of you guys were on that webinar, and so you'll kind of see this madness in action, how the whole thing kind of worked together. So that is the game plan. Now, basically, when I first learned about this, so I was dabbling on the internet. I began probably about 12 years ago or so. I was learning some stuff, and it took me about 2 years before I was making any money, and I started growing, and I was having a bunch of fun. And about the time I saw this guy doing this internet marketing seminar. Now, I'd never been to an internet marketing seminar before, but for me at the time, I was like, I was kind of like this lonely kid. They always say that being an entrepreneur is like the loneliest job in the world because nobody really understands what you do or who you are or why you're so passionate about these crazy ideas, right? I'm sure some of you guys probably feel that way. Am I right? Okay, being an entrepreneur is lonely, and that's how I was. And I was like, man, there's going to be all these people who actually do what I do and care about this stuff that are going to be together in one room. I want to go to it. It was $2,000. It was super expensive for me at the time, but I paid. I went out to this event. And it was really cool. I had a chance to meet some awesome people, and was one of the coolest things I did. In fact, if you guys have a chance to go to an event, go to an event. Those of you guys who came to our last Boise event, you know the power of being at an event. Just being around people who look at life differently, who look at life the way you do, can just do huge things for your business and for what you're trying to accomplish. And so I was at this event, and I remember I thought I was going to go and for 3 days just have people speak to me and teach me cool stuff. That was kind of how I thought an event should be and what it was going to be, right? And so I go to this event, and the first speaker gets up and he starts talking, and he talks for about 65, 70 minutes, and he starts talking about this product he has. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then he keeps going. At the very end, he like sold this product, and the product was $2,000. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of, like, I can't believe he's selling a $2,000 product. I spent $2,000 to get here. That was like the last of my money. This guy's selling everyone in here a $2,000 product. And as soon as he closed, he finished his presentation, I looked, and people started popping up from all around this room. We had about 500 people in the room, and they're popping up, and they all start running towards the back. I thought, this is fascinating. I can't believe what's happening. I looked in the back, and I started counting. And I was counting the people. I'm like, 2,000, 4, 6, 8, 10. I was doing the math. I was like, that guy just made $50,000 in one 90-minute presentation. I remember sitting there just like, wow, I was just so fascinated watching the process. Then the next person gets up, next speaker gets up, he talks about some stuff, shares his best ideas, and then boom, he closes his sale. His was like $5,000. And people are popping up all around the room, running to the back, and they bought his thing. And the next speaker up, the next speaker, and every single time I'm doing the math, and I'm averaging, trying to total up how much each of these speakers are making. And at the end of the event, I realized that at the event, okay, again, I'd spent $2,000 to be there. The event promoter had made over $1 million selling things at this event. And the way those seminars typically work is the person who puts on the event brings in speakers, and then the speaker sells their product. The speaker gets half the money, and the event promoter gets half the money. So there's over $1 million made at this event, and $500,000 went to the dude who was running the event, and the other $500,000 went to these speakers. And I remember sitting there thinking, I got to learn how to be a speaker. Like, this is crazy. And at the time, and some of you guys probably won't believe this, but I was a super, super shy kid. In fact, in my own personal, like my real life, I'm a very shy person. But I learned how to be a speaker and learned how to present the right way because I wanted to make money. Okay, I'm a capitalist just like all of us, right? I want to make money, and I saw these guys are making crazy money doing hardly anything. I want to do it. And so I started trying to go out there and learn how to become a public speaker. And what was interesting is the very first event I went to after that, I wanted to see some other people do it so I could kind of get the gist of how it worked. And I vividly remember looking at these speakers, and as they were teaching stuff, I'd say, man, I can teach better stuff than this. My stories are better. My content's better. These guys aren't even teaching that good of stuff. And I remember being frustrated. And so finally, my very first chance I had to speak on stage, I got all excited, and I went up there, and I had all my content laid out. I had like all my best stuff, all my best ideas that I ever had put in this presentation, and I wanted to wow the audience. And I went up there and I shared with them so much stuff, way more than anybody else had I ever seen given an event. And I was like, these guys are going to love me so much, they are going to come and buy my stuff. And I just blew their minds with all this just awesomeness. And guess what happened? Nothing. Nobody moved. I closed at the end and I sold my product. Nobody went to the back of the room. And it was embarrassing. I literally standing up there on stage, watched nobody pop up, nobody moved. And I then quietly walked to the back of the audience, and people kind of shuffled out and left for lunch. And it was the most awkward, worst feeling I've ever felt in my life. I was so embarrassed. I literally walked out of that room, walked to my hotel room, and I shut the door. And for 3 days, the rest of the days of it, I sat in the room because I was too embarrassed to come back down. I remember sitting there, and I was so frustrated and so angry, and part of me just wanted to quit. I said, it doesn't make sense. It's not fair. Like I paid my dues. I've done this. The stuff I taught was amazing. Why in the world are all these people buying it? I was so just frustrated and disheartened, and and luckily for me, I decided not to quit. I decided I'm gonna try it again. I got to figure this out. People are doing it. They can't be that much smarter than me. Okay, sure, I barely graduated from school, but these guys don't seem that much smarter than me. I got to be able to figure it out. So then I got asked to speak at another event, and the promoter asked me how I did the last event, and I told him I did all right, and didn't really tell him any of the stats because he probably would have told me that I wasn't welcome to speak because that's how they make their money as well, right? And so I went to the next event, and I remember watching other speakers, and the speakers would do their close, and it always drove me crazy. They're like, I'm going to start the product at $10,000, but it's not $10,000. It's only $9,000, but it's not $9,000. It's only $8,000. It's not $8,000. It's only $7,000. They kept going through and drop down to the point where the price gets down to zero, to whatever, $2,000. And I thought it was so cheesy. Like I was just like, that's so used car salesman. Like what in the world? Like why would anybody ever in a million years buy that thing, right? That was kind of my thought. But people ran in the back, and so when I got to give my presentation, I remember like the thing I said is I got to my close and I said, I'm not going to do that cheesy thing that most speakers do where they increase the price and then chop it down. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to insult your guys' intelligence. I said that. I said, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I'm just going to tell you what the price is. And I told people the price, and guess what happened? Nothing. Again. And I was like, man, I'm so smart, yet I'm the only dude in the room not making any money. You know what? Maybe I should humble myself and start asking some questions and start finding out from these people that are successful why they're successful. So after spending another 3 days in a hotel room hiding from the audience because I was so embarrassed, I started looking out there to find out what people were doing, who was being successful. I got to find out how this whole game works. And so I started buying every public speaking course I could find. Not like how to be a public speaker because that wasn't my goal. My goal, like I can stand in front of an audience and speak well. Well, maybe. Some of you guys would argue that I speak too fast, that I slur my words, I say way too much. All those things are true. I'm not saying I want to become a great public speaker. I want to become somebody who could stand in front of a room, deliver a presentation, and make money, close some sales. And so I started buying, how to sell from stage programs from some of the best people in the world, guys like Armin Moore and Bill Glazer, Dan Kennedy, and I started buying all these courses. And it was interesting as I would go through them, they were so counterintuitive to what I learned. What I had assumed. They always said, like, the person who teaches the most does not make the most money. Okay, teaching is good. There's a time and a purpose for that. Okay, those of you guys who came to Boise, you saw the time and the purpose. I spent 3 days teaching everything I had. I didn't sell anything. Okay, that was an event where I was trying to fulfill and to give value. But when you're trying to sell something, it's different. And if you just give everything up front, people won't buy. Okay, they get overwhelmed if you give them too much stuff, and they're so overwhelmed they're not going to buy your product because they felt like, wow, I'm so overwhelmed, I got enough stuff I can go work on. They're not going to buy your thing. And so there was a way to structure your content where people receive value, but it was useful but incomplete. It was structured and created in a way that the only logical thing to do at the end of the presentation was to buy the coaching program or buy the product, whatever the thing was that was being sold on the next step. And so I literally started studying from all these guys, and every course I would go through, I would learn the next piece. I learned a little thing here and a little thing there, and I kept adding this to my presentations, and I would learn a way to do my close, and I would learn a way to structure my content, ways to introduce it, and I learned from so many amazing people, guys like Jason Fladlin is another one who just taught me some amazing stuff. Ted Thomas taught me some amazing stuff, like so many pieces of that. And so I wish I could give credit to, in fact, maybe I might do that as I go through this presentation, give credit to different people as different pieces of this came about. But this is definitely not my invention. This is me learning from probably 15 different mentors of some of the best stage presenters in the world, taking back all the pieces and kind of creating this into what I do now. And whenever I create a webinar now, you guys, this is what I do. I print out this little perfect webinar sheet. I have it sitting down next to me, and then I get out my slides and I start building out the slides. And so you'll see this high ticket secrets product is, or webinar that I'm going to go through. You'll see that this is the most recent webinar I built out, and I built it out to a T according to this kind of presentation right here. I may have deviated a little bit here and there, but as a whole, it was pretty dang close to this. So that's why I wanted to kind of show you this. I'm not trying to sell you on high ticket secrets, although I probably could because it's a really good presentation. It crushed it when we did it live. But that's why I wanted to show you this as well, because you'll see the concept over here on the left-hand side, then the actual application here on the right-hand side. Okay. Now, just kind of not to sell you on why webinars are amazing, but to sell you on why webinars are amazing. This is literally like I told you before, if everything was collapsing around me, I needed a way to make money right now. This is what I would do. Okay. If I had a product, or if I had a list of people, and usually for webinar to work, you got to have a list, right? You got to have an audience you can deliver this to. So if it's my very first thing, I might not do it first because I need to have my initial sales funnel built out so I can start building my list. But as soon as I'm building my list and I've got these people in place, now I can use a webinar to sell people. And so yeah, that's why I'm so excited. So you guys fired up? You guys excited to learn the perfect webinar? You got to be fired up. All right, Thomas is fired up. Who else is fired up? Eugene's fired up. All right. Okay, you guys are fired up now. Good. All right. Again, guys, this tool will serve you for the rest of your life. In fact, one day, I've told some of you guys this story before, but we had 4 or 5 years ago, we had our business. We built up to 100 employees, and one day, literally out of the blue, all of our merchant accounts got shut down. I couldn't pay payroll. I couldn't pay staff. And for a year, I was trying to save this company that was collapsing around us to the point where we had to lay off tons of people, and we had to move from one building to a next. And the building we were in initially was about 20 or 25,000 square feet, and we're moving into a 2,500 square feet office. And so we're moving all this stuff. We're throwing away just all of our, we literally threw away hundreds of computers and phones, and it was probably one of the saddest days of my life, to be honest, like one of the most depressing, hardest to deal with. And I remember we were moving into this new little office, and I just let off 80 employees and was trying to figure out what our next step was going to be. And we literally had no money to even pay the rent on this new place we're moving into. And I thought, I got to figure out something. I've got to make some money. I got to make money now. And luckily I had a list of people, and I sent an email out to this list. I said, hey, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow. If you want to be on it, it's going to be awesome. The next day, which was the last day we had in our office, so we still had internet connection. All the desks had been moved out. I had one desk left in the middle of the office. I had a little laptop on it. And I remember I was sitting there. I only had socks on. I must have taken my shoes off for some reason. And that morning, I put together this presentation. I followed this format. I did the webinar. And at the end of the webinar, I closed, and people started buying, and they started buying, and they started buying. And that one webinar, that one presentation made me $150,000. It gave us the cash we needed to move into our new building, pay the rent for a couple months, get everything restructured, and give us the foundation we needed to regrow our company. And so there's a lot of power in this, you guys. This tool I'm giving you right now, this system, this whatever you want to call it, will serve you for the rest of your life if you just do it. Okay. And so at the event, a lot of people were asking me, like, so when do I use this webinar? Like, is it and we talked about different things. We talked about like an invisible funnel webinar, and we talked about other ones. This webinar is a tool that you will use. It's a free webinar. People do not pay for this. You want this to be free because you want as many people as possible on it, and then you're going to give your presentation, and then at the end you sell a product. Okay. So before we get into the actual script here, earlier one of our students we're working with was asking about what they sell, and so the biggest thing is when I'm selling on a webinar, I'm usually pricing the product I'm selling on a webinar. I usually am pricing somewhere between $500 up to about $2,500. Okay, that's kind of the range. So we talk about sales funnel. We talk about a lot of our front end sales funnels, right? They're usually selling free plus shipping up to maybe $100 products. Okay, and then after I want to go higher price point, that's when I usually start shifting to webinars, where I go again from $500 to $2,500, and then if I want to go above $2,500, that's when I start shifting to back-end phone sales and all the stuff we actually taught on High Ticket Secrets. Okay, so that's kind of the way that I structure this with what I'm doing. So if I'm selling like anywhere from $500 to $2,500, boom, this script is the webinar I'm using. Okay, and so for a lot of you guys, if you don't have a product yet that kind of fits that, the first step is to figure out what's your offer going to be. What's the product you're gonna sell people? Okay. The exercise I went through with one of our Inner Circle members yesterday. I was talking to her about her webinar. I said, look, what I would do, what we did is we always sit down in front of a whiteboard and we list like if someone, if I needed to make $1,000 today and I had to sell somebody on, what would be the best possible thing I would sell that person? And we get out a whiteboard and we start mapping out all the ideas. I would do this and I would do this, and we try to like turn off our filter. So we put out everything, like no matter how crazy it is, like I'm gonna let them fly to my house and I'm gonna feed them sushi. I'm gonna let, however you make this offer, this product, this thing they're gonna buy, the most amazing thing in the world, you wanna craft that out and put it out there, right? And you gotta break it down. As you'll see when we come down here to like the stack, we'll break it down, there'll be pieces, but typically it's some kind of core training program, like 6 to 8 modules where you're gonna be teaching somebody a system, right? Your system, the thing that you are so good at doing. And module number 1 is gonna be the first step, right? I always imagine like somebody just hired me and they're gonna come to my office. What would I teach them over 6 days? Okay, module number 1 will be the first day when I'm gonna teach them. Module 2 will be the second day, and then the third day. And at the end of this week period of time, they're gonna know my system. They're gonna understand what I do, right? And so that's what I look at when I'm creating my initial thing. Is what's the core training system? And after that, then what are the bonuses I can give people that just make this a slam dunk, where it makes it so irresistible they have to have it. Okay, and we'll walk this. These little smiley face guys are here. Is kind of those elements, those bonuses that are so good. So you'll see as I go through High Ticket Secrets what we did on this webinar, but kind of think about that, because you got to create the offer first, and then you come back and you kind of craft out the actual webinar here. In fact, about 2 years ago, yeah, I hired Dustin and Dave. They run a company called Speaking Empire, where you pay them, I think it's $10,000 or $15,000, and you fly out for one day, and they help you build a webinar. And it's interesting. I paid them because I want to see their process and how it all worked, what they teach. In fact, this little if all statement here, this is one of the big things I got from them, and it's a powerful tool. But when I was at their event, it was interesting. Or at the Power Day that I paid $10,000 to be at, the first probably 2 hours of that process was figuring out the offer. We sat down with the whiteboard and we just brainstormed ideas and what we could package and what else we could add and how we could make this the most irresistible offer in the world. And so that's where a good webinar starts. Okay, this perfect webinar script is what you're going to use to sell it, and you can sell anything with this thing. But you've got to create a good offer. So again, that's kind of outside the scope of this webinar. But hopefully that gives you some ideas and start thinking about as you're creating an offer that's just irresistible. So people just have to say yes. They can't say no, right? All right. Okay. So let me go through this. So perfect webinar. So the webinar, there's basically 3 sections of the perfect webinar. The first is your introduction. The second is the content section. And then the third is your close. Okay? And this is kind of how I structure these, all right? Okay, so I'll begin with the introduction. Now, the introduction is probably the easiest part, but the biggest key to the introduction, you guys, is you can't be boring. Okay, and people typically can't see you. If you're speaking from stage, then people will see you as you use this script. Okay, and this is the same script I use when I'm speaking from stage to sell as I do on a webinar. But on a webinar, people can't see you. Okay, so the biggest thing is like your tonality and your voice is what keeps people around. If you talk like this and you're kind of quiet, nobody will buy your product. Okay, if you look at me right now, I'm literally sitting on the edge of my seat. I have my hands in front of me, and I'm moving them around, and my voice goes up really, really high, and it goes down, and I have to have tonality. I have to be exciting. I have to get people engaged. Okay, if you watch my webinars, you notice that. And what's interesting is I learned this first time when we did an infomercial a little while ago, and for the infomercial, I remember the infomercial producer told me, he said, look, Russell, if you talk like you normally do on TV, you're going to sound like this. He said, if you talk super excited and kind of hypey and over the top, you're going to sound normal. And it's the same on a webinar. You have to come with more energy than you do in your real world. Otherwise, people are going to zone out and they're going to fall asleep. Okay, so I'm like at a level 10 right now, just talking to you guys. I'm not even selling you something right now, but if I was, it's even more important, okay? So starting with a lot of energy and being exciting. Usually about a minute or two before the webinar starts, I like getting on and just saying, hey everyone, this is the webinar. We're gonna be talking about high ticket secrets. It's gonna be awesome. We're about 2 minutes away from getting started. You're gonna love it. Hey everyone, if you're just logging in right now, my name is Russell Brunson. We're here on the high ticket secrets webinar. We're gonna be getting started in about a minute 30 and you're gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. So excited to have you guys here. Hey everyone, this is Russell. And I keep looping that thing because people are always calling in. And so you can't just like, hey guys, this is Russell, we'll get started in a minute. Hey guys, this is Russell, we'll get started in 30 seconds. You get to have constant energy. So I just keep repeating myself like a broken loop over and over again because it keeps the energy up, it keeps people excited. And whenever they're dialing in and answering, they're hearing me talk and they're hearing that excitement and they feel like they're at something cool. Okay, gets them excited. And usually I'll even run that over maybe 3 or 4 minutes past when the webinar is supposed to start. I'll be like, hey guys, the webinar officially started about a minute ago, but I'm not going to start because people are still logging in. I'm going to give them 1 or 2 more minutes, but I want to let you guys know you're in the right spot. I'm about to show you exactly how you can instantly increase your high ticket sales, blah, 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 right? And I keep recapping that till about 2 or 3 minutes in, and now I'm going to start, okay? So that's key. So that's kind of my intro. Now I lead initially with a bold promise, okay? This bold promise is going to tie back here to what I call the one thing, but the bold promise is kind of like, I call it a ruler. Okay, it's like everyone's measuring you all the time, right? And if I come on a webinar and I start teaching, they're going to measure me versus every other webinar they've ever been on in the past. And they've been on people that are awesome on webinars. That's what they're going to judge me against. That's what the ruler is. That they're going to say, was that a good webinar or a bad? It's all going to be based on the ruler they're using. Okay, and so that I don't want to have them judge me based on just my presentation skills alone because, again, I'm going to talk too fast. I'm going to say a lot of ums. I'm going to slur things. I want them to judge me based on what I'm promising. So I'm saying this is my big promise. So for me, here's my big promise. I said, hey guys, I'm going to show you how to instantly add high ticket sales to your sales funnel without you ever personally talking on the phone to anyone ever. Okay, at the end of this webinar, you're going to learn exactly how to do that. And if so, then this webinar will be a success. Okay, boom, big, huge promise. And that's not what they're judging it on. They're judging the entire webinar based on if this promise I just made them, if it's true. Okay, then if they're like, yeah, Russell taught me exactly how to build a sales funnel without personally talking on the phone to anyone ever, boom, okay? That's the ruler they're judging me against, and it's perfect. Okay, next I'm gonna hook them to the end. So again, my goal is if you stay to the end of this webinar, I'm gonna do something really, really cool. Okay, so what I did for this audience, I said, we're talking about call center. I said, like, if you guys stay till the end, I'm actually gonna open up my laptop, put on my webcam, I'm gonna walk in and you can actually see my call center. You guys wanna see that? People are going crazy, they were so excited. Okay, you only get that if you stay till the end. Okay, now we've hooked them. Okay, because during the first 4 or 5 minutes of webinars when like 90% of your people will leave, those that are gonna leave. You can get past that first little hump, they're gonna stay the entire 90 minutes. Okay, so you gotta hook them fast. So you can hook them with a bonus, with the prize, with free something, with, I've seen people give away iPads and give away phones and just some kind of hook you have to have. Okay, so it could be anything, just something to hook them to the end. Okay, and then I start commanding attention. Usually I say something like, hey guys, if you got your cell phone out, if you got Skype, Facebook, you gotta close it down. I need your attention. Okay, if you're not paying attention, none of this will help you at all. So you need to make sure you're paying attention. I'm trying to command attention. Then I qualify myself. So look, this is why I actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, and I share, for this one, I showed a picture of me sleeping just to be funny, kind of a pattern interrupt. And then I came back and said, look, I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm the king of high ticket sales. I did back-end sales for Dan Kennedy, for Bill Glazer, for Mike Filson, for Rank Kern, plus a ton of other marketers. We've done over 8 figures of high ticket sales. There's nobody in the marketplace better than me at high ticket sales, and I'm gonna show you exactly how we do it. Boom, I just qualified myself. Okay, you guys gotta qualify yourself. Why is what you do, why are you qualified to do this? Okay, why are you different than everybody else who's kind of teaching something like that? Okay, you gotta qualify yourself and stick it out there so that people, they kind of get that. And then from there, I like to future pace and then say, well, some of these slides are still me qualifying. So here's my qualification. I did a lot of things right. I did a bunch of things wrong. After doing this for 10 years, this is kind of what I figured out, and this is kind of leading back to into my content. I discovered the hard way, but you're going to have a chance to cheat. Again, here's the hard way I did it. It was really hard and frustrating. Boom. And then this is where I switched to future pacing. Okay. I say, look, so future pacing, guys, just so you know, future pacing is I try to put them in a state where they can visualize what will happen when they've accomplished this thing. Okay. So if you ever heard me say on a webinar or anything where I'm like, can you guys imagine what it's going to be like someday when your business is up and running and you're making your first $1,000? Like, wouldn't that be awesome? So I'm doing future pacing. Okay, it's a concept from NLP where I'm trying to take you to a place in the future where you've already achieved your goals. Okay, so if I can do that, again, it's part of the intro. So right here I said, look, do you guys want an easy way that's going to require you to never pick up a phone? Can you imagine that? Like making high ticket sales without ever having to pick up the phone ever. Like, what would you do with your life? What would you do different? Okay, what would in a month from now when you're doing that, like what's it going to be like? What's your spouse going to say? What are your kids going to think when all of a sudden their dad's at home and they're making twice as much money? Pretty exciting, don't you think? Okay, boom, I'm future pacing him. All right, pushing him out into the future. All right, and then I kind of go back. This is just more. Again, the script is a framework, and I add things in between that just I want to. Right. So this one I just kind of bragged a little bit. For the last 14 days, I did over 6 figures in high ticket products. I didn't pick up the phone, and then I like throwing in some kind of like FTC disclaimer, like results are not typical. This is not going to work. Blah blah blah. Just to keep yourself kind of safe. And now I shift over here to the content part of the webinar. Okay. Now I want to step back. One of the biggest problems that people make when they're creating a webinar or any sales piece for that matter, it can be sales video, sales letters, webinars, everything, is because they're so in love with their product or their service and there's so many facets of it, they try to like sell somebody on every single thing that their thing can do, right? The big benefits of it. In fact, one of our inner circle members, I was just reviewing his sales video, and he's crushing. They're doing, I think they did $1 million last year with their sales video. But I said the biggest problem with your sales video right now, the reason why you're converting it 1 or 2% versus 5 or 6% is because you're selling 4 or 5 different things. People have to believe 5 different things to want to buy your product. Okay, I learned this originally from Perry Belcher. He said that when he had sales letters that tried to get people to believe in 2 or more things, they always flopped. He said, if I had sales letters that just tried to get somebody to believe one thing, one core thing, if I did that, then they were successful. Okay? And I saw the exact same thing happen with me, you guys. I cannot tell you how many times, all the webinars I've done where I try to like, okay, to get somebody to buy this, they need to believe in this, this, and this. So I structure, I'm trying to teach them all these things. And you can't do it that way. That'll destroy your sales. Okay? It's the reason why when I first did this, it didn't work. I get on stage, I'm going to show you my 7 best things about how I make money. I show up 7 things, and they're like, wow, I got a lot of value out of that. But I got 7 things I got to go do now. And they would never buy, right? So you have to figure out from your entire presentation, from everything you do, what's the one thing? Okay, what is that one thing that is going to change and just make, like the one thing they got to have. They have that one thing, it'll all make sense. Okay? If you look back here to my title, this was my one thing. Okay, one thing I learned from Dagan Smith that was powerful. He said that if your one thing should always be something like this. It should be how to blank without blank. Okay, how to, and then insert like what they want. Okay, so for the audience I was talking to, they all want high ticket sales. Everyone online right now is talking about high ticket sales. So how to instantly add high ticket sales to your sales funnel. Okay, that's what they want. But what do they not want? Okay, for my audience, they don't want to pick up the phone. Okay, so you do that without personally talking on the phone to anyone ever. Can you guys see that? So for your market, what is it? How to lose a ton of weight overnight without giving up carbs. Okay, do you see how that works? So that's usually what my one thing is tied to that, the how to without. If you can figure out how to fit it into that little template, that little formula, it's magic, okay? So that's my one thing. So what's key about this is that this entire webinar is focused on that one key point. Okay, and every single thing else I talk about, the only goal of those things is to re-emphasize over and over and over again this one thing. Okay, does that make sense, you guys? Okay, so I'm not going to be like, I'm going to show you this and this and this and this. I'm showing you this, and then all these secrets, they tie back and they strengthen and they solidify that one thing. Okay, so again, here's my one thing. That was my one thing for this presentation. Then I come down here, now I'm going to reveal the 3 secrets. These are my 3 coaching points on this, okay? So secret number 1 is I can make more money in one day selling high-ticket products than I can in an entire month selling normal products. Okay? So that's my big secret. That's my first aha, my big thing I want to reveal to them. Okay, but what is this? Is that a new thing? No, all it's doing is it's strengthening the one thing. Okay, it's showing them how they can make high ticket sales without picking up a phone. So secret number one is that you can make more in one day selling high ticket sales an entire month selling normal products. Secret number two for me now was personally I don't have to sell any, or I personally don't have to sell anything because which is a big plus because I hate the phones. Okay, so the second secret I'm going to show them is how they can do this without them ever picking up the phone. And then my third big secret is that you only need a little bit of traffic to make that work. Okay, most everyone's freaking out because, it's going to take a ton of traffic and all this stuff to make this work. No, you only need a little bit of traffic to make this whole thing sing. Okay, so those are my three secrets. So I showed up front like, hey guys, during this webinar, okay, I told you that we're going to talk about how to sell high ticket things without picking up the phone. Now to do that, I'm going to show you my big three secrets. Okay, secret number one is this. Secret number two is this. Secret number three is this. So I kind of tell them what it is. Now I'm going to break into the content. Okay, now I'm going to show you secret number one. So I come in and I say, this is what secret number one is. I can make more money in one day selling high ticket products than I can in an entire month selling normal products. Okay. Now notice that my secrets are they're typically backwards from what most people are thinking or what most people believe. Okay. I'm trying to break a belief pattern. That's why down here you see break and rebuild their belief patterns. Okay. So most of the people I'm talking to, they're selling ebooks, they're selling network marketing opportunities, they're selling low ticket stuff. And so I got to break that first paradigm, that first belief pattern. Okay. So what I do is I got to break it. So the first thing is I break this pattern. Okay. I come and say, look, high ticket secrets, I say, look, for typical price, if you're selling $37 product and you want to make $5,000 a month, you got to sell 135 products. Okay. 3% conversion rate, that's 4,500 clicks. Okay. That's really, really hard. All right. And then, I talk about to make $5,000, in selling a high ticket thing, I just got to sell one. Or if I'm selling a $25,000 thing, I just got to sell 1/5. Every 5 months, I got to sell one to make the exact same amount of money as it took you to make $37 product. Okay, so my goal is to break their belief pattern. Okay, I got to break this thing. You think that you have to sell $37 products. I got to break that thing, and I got to rebuild it with the pattern I want you to believe. Okay, and the pattern that I want them to believe for this webinar, what's my pattern I want them to believe? I want them to believe, what's my one thing? They can do high ticket sales. That's my one thing. High ticket sales. That's my one thing, right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I switch over to secret number two. Secret number two is I don't personally have to sell anything because I hate the phones. Okay, so most of these guys who see people doing high ticket stuff, they're like, high ticket stuff seems awesome, but I gotta pick up the phone and I don't want to pick up the phone. I'm scared to talk on the phone to people. So that's their belief pattern. So what I gotta do, I gotta break that belief pattern and I gotta rebuild it. So for me, I try to break it this way. I said, here's 3 reasons why people like me should never, ever pick up the phone. Okay, first off, I'm way too busy. I don't even want to answer my own support. I'm scared to death to be on the phone, and it's just bad positioning. Okay, most of these guys are like, yeah, I'm too busy too. Yeah, I'm scared. Oh, bad positioning. Sweet. Yeah, I don't want to talk to them anyway. Okay, I'm justifying their fears, right? So I'm breaking that belief pattern because they've always believed that they have to be on the phone. So I break that belief pattern, and then I start rebuilding it. So let me rebuild it. This is all you really need is 2 commission-based salespeople. You guys know what commission-based means? It means you only pay them when they make you money. Notice I said just 2 people, not 60. Okay? In the past, I had 60 people and it was a nightmare, but I figured out a new way to do it. And this is how it worked. And I talk about this experiment. And then this is the old model, how we did it, the new model. So again, I'm breaking this pattern and I'm rebuilding it. Okay? And I'm taking them on the journey that I went through to rebuild it. Because I had the same pattern in my head. That's why I had 60 salespeople working for me. Okay? So I'm taking them on the journey I went through to break that I had to go through to break my own pattern and how I rebuilt it. And I'm taking them on that journey so that I can help break it with them and rebuild it with them. Boom. So I started experiment. Here's how it worked and what happened and how we made $36,000 in a day and how we grew from there and we got 2 salespeople and boom, 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 boom. And then I say, hey, you want to meet Robbie? And this is now where I went back to my initial hook. Okay. Where I did a hook to the end. I was like, you want to see the mini call center? And I put on my laptop webcam mic and I walked him into the other room. Now, typically I would do this at the end of the webinar, but for this one, it just tied into secret number 2, so I needed to do it then. Okay. All right. So there's secret number 2. And you notice, like, I'm teaching him cool stuff, but I'm not really teaching him anything. Does that make sense? Okay. But you're learning cool things because because what's happening is I'm breaking these belief patterns and I'm rebuilding them. And so while I'm not giving you any, like, here's step 1, 2, 3 on how to do anything, you're learning, your paradigm has been shifted, which people, they resonate with that. That feels like learning to them, right? And so don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you're not going to be teaching them stuff, because you are teaching them, but you're doing it in a different way that I think is a better way. To shift somebody's paradigm and shift the way they believe is way more powerful than here's step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, so you're teaching in a different way, and it's a way that sets up the sale. Okay. All right, now for me, I moved to secret number 3, which is I only need a little bit of traffic to make this work, about 100 clicks. Because what do most people think? I would love to do high ticket things, but I can't drive traffic. I can't send 1,000 clicks a day. You know, that in their mind, it's got to be this huge thing. So what I got to do? I got to break that belief pattern. I got to rebuild it. So I start breaking. Let me show you how we do it. Boom, I take them to a case study page, then a homework page. This is how it works. Now, if I sell high ticket products, this is how I'd be, here's all. I send 4,500 clicks to make my $5,000 a month. Plus, I got to spend money on those clicks, so I end up making almost nothing. Or selling high-ticket things, check this out. If I sell a $5,000 product, 1 out of 10 who apply are going to sign up for the $5,000 product. 1 out of 10 who visit the application page are going to apply. So 100 clicks equals 100 applications equals 100 buyers. That means all I've got to do is send 100 clicks a day, and I can make $5,000 a day. Is that awesome? And I start future pacing them. Imagine if you're selling $10,000 or $25,000 or $100,000. Think how much money that is. And imagine if you, instead of sending 100 clicks a day, what if you send 200 clicks a day? Or instead of 2, what if you sent 300 clicks a day? Boom, and I teach them, right? All right. So there's the content. So you guys see how I structure that? It's all about, and you notice how like secret 1, 2, and 3, all they're doing is supporting the one thing, the one core focus of this entire thing. It's not new content. It's not the next thing. It's not anything else. Because I promise you guys, if 10 of you guys make a webinar and you come back to me, 9 of you guys are going to do this wrong. You're going to have the one thing, which is the first thing you're excited to teach. Then this will be the next thing, and the next thing. You'll be awesome teachers, and people are going to love what you're going to share. But it's not gonna result in sales at the end. This is how you have to structure your content to result in sales at the end. Okay. All right. Now from here, this is where we transition to the sale. Okay, and this is where most people start getting really, really, really nervous. The other day I was at this, someone that goes to church with me, they said, hey, we're doing this little party at our house. You want to come on over? And my wife got all excited. So we went to this party. I show up, and it was an MLM party. Now for me, I'm super fired up and excited. I love seeing people sell stuff. I love MLMs. And so they're pitching this thing, right? So they get up in this little room with like 10 people, and I got a big old grin on my face, and everyone else is like all nervous because they think they're getting pitched, and I'm so excited. And the person's talking, and they're showing it was essential oils, and showing the oils, how they work, and the content was amazing. Like you could tell they were so fired up and passionate. And all of a sudden, about an hour into it, the lady who's speaking, I see her start talking faster. And she starts talking faster, and she starts getting nervous, and her face turns red. She starts sweating, and she starts mumbling, and all these things start happening. And I just start laughing because I know she's getting so close to wanting to sell me something, but she's so scared. And all of a sudden she went, oh, and by the way, you can make money, blah, 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 blah. And then she ended. And if you want any more questions, then my husband's over there, blah, blah, and ended. And it was the most awkward thing in the world. And that's how most people do when they love the teaching part, and you transition to sell, they get scared, they get nervous, they get whatever that is, right? It happens to all of us. I've been on tons of webinars where people don't know how to transition from that to the next. And so in this webinar, I didn't use it, but traditionally, this is the way I transition. And for you guys, I would say this is probably the first webinar I haven't transitioned this way. And if I was to redo this webinar, this would be the one thing I would change about it, is this transition. It works. So I finished teaching the content, right? I teach this last thing about how much traffic you need. And I show them, imagine doing this, and they're kind of in this future state where they're excited about the future. And I stop and I say, let me ask you a question. This stuff's been pretty cool, right? We've had a good time over the last hour. You've learned some good stuff, but an hour's not that long. Like, how would you guys like to work with me directly, and where I can actually help you to implement what we just talked about? Boom, that's it. Let me ask you a question, and kind of talk about everything that you just went over. How would you like help on this? Because guess what all of them are thinking at this point. I just do this whole future pacing about them making 10 or 25 or 100 grand. They're so excited. But then they get that feeling where they're just like, wow, I don't know how to do that. It's going to be a lot of work. And that's when you come in and save the day. And you say, look, let me ask you a question. All that stuff we just covered, it's exciting, right? I mean, you just imagine 100K. Like, what would that do for you? What would that do for your life? Okay, it's pretty cool, right? Let me ask this question. Like, how would it help you? Like, as your teacher, as your coach, whatever, I want to serve you. Like, how would you like if I could actually help you implement this? And guess what everyone comes back and says? They come back in the chat box and say, yes, please, I want help. I love help. How can you help me? Help me. And then I like asking permission, like, okay, well, a lot of you guys want information. I've got something I can do that can help you, okay? Now I know it's always awkward, like you're on this webinar, and you know I do have something to sell, and if you guys are okay with that, I'd love to share it with you. If not, I won't. But if you want me to share it with you, let me know. People are like, yeah, share me, share, and they start asking you to sell them. Okay, and it becomes really easy after you transition past that, right? And now from there, I transition over to what I call the stack. Okay, now you notice the stack, you won't see it for a little bit here because the stack now is the framework that the rest of the presentation takes, and then these closes are closes that you sprinkle in between the stack, if that makes sense. So let me tell you what the stack is. So typically and I learned this from Armin Moore, and I will give him 100% credit. He's made me, like literally this stack has made me over $10 million in direct sales I can tie back to this concept I'm going to teach you right now, called the stack. It was before I spoke, my first time speaking Armin's event, and it was 2 weeks before we were at a Dan Kennedy event. Armin got up there and he spoke to an audience of 1,000 people, and he closed like, I don't know, it was insane, like 30 or 40 or 50% of the audience. They ran back, and he did like, I don't know, it was just shy of $1 million in sales by himself. And I remember watching, I was just like, that was the coolest thing ever. And afterwards, he came up to me with this huge stack of order forms in his hands. He's like, you want a bunch of order forms like this next week or in 2 weeks when you speak at my event? I'm like, yeah, man, I totally do. Like, what do I got to do? And he said, I got to teach this little process called the stack. He's like, if you do it, you'll get a big stack of order forms. You don't do it, you're not going to make much money. It's like, that's just how it works. I'm like, all right, well, how's it work? He said, this is the big secret. He said, most of the presenters, you watch the way they do their presentation, is they'll say, hey, the first thing you're going to get is this, and then you're going to get this, and then you're going to get this. And he keeps walking through all the stuff they're going to get. And then the last slide, they're like, this is bonus number 12. This is what you're going to get. And then they go over to the next slide. We're like, I'm going to give you all this stuff for $10,000. And then they start doing the price drop. Now what happens, he says, the only thing that the human mind remembers is the last thing they were showed. So right before you show them this big price, the only thing they remember is bonus number 10 or 12, whatever your last thing is you showed. And if that bonus doesn't justify that price in their mind, then they're not going to buy it. He said, so I invented this thing called this stack. He said, this is how it works. You can kind of see here. He says, I start my presentation and I stack like the first component, and I talk about it. And then, actually, I'll show you guys how it works down here. So when I did the stack, first thing I did is I showed right here. I said, let me talk about what you're going to get. Okay, first thing you're going to get is this. So I did the first stack. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to get this. And third thing you're going to do is this. Okay, if I was clicking through these, they're animated. Fourth thing you're going to do is this. Boom. So this is the total value of $8,000. So this is the core offer. Okay. So if any of you guys are like, if you have your core thing you're teaching somebody, some of you guys are, it's going to be 6 modules, or it's going to be 4 modules teaching blah 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 blah. That's what this was. This is my core offer, right? I'm going to show you how to set up a 2-step funnel, help you set up a mini call center. I'm going to give you the actual script to use. I'm going to give you Robbie in a box. Boom, there's the core offer, right? Now I'm going to start adding value. That's these little smiley face guys are. I'm adding value, right? So I'm going to give you this bonus, which is unlimited traffic. Boom. And I'm going to give you this bonus, which is our ads and our interviews. Okay. So what that means is, now I stack this. That means you're going to get, and I recap the first thing I told them, the second thing, the third thing, the fourth thing. So I just resaid that. Then I say, plus you're going to now get bonus number 1, which is unlimited traffic, which is the $1,997 value. Plus you can get bonus number 2, which is hiring commissions and more for $997. So now the total value of this package is $11,998. Okay, you guys have probably seen me do this before, right? You've seen other presenters. Okay, it's kind of cheesy, right? But I go through and I start doing some of these other closes, and other closes, and then I come back and I add another bonus. Okay, I'm going to give you this consult, a 30-minute consult with Robbie, which is the $2,000 value. And I come back, boom, boom, boom. I get the guarantee, boom, boom. Then I stack it again, which means you're going to get the 2-step funnel. You're going to get this mini call center valued at $2,000. You're going to, and literally, you guys, by the time you've done the stack like 5 or 6 times, you're going to be so embarrassed. And I remember the first time I did this at a seminar, people were laughing, and it got kind of like ridiculous. But guess what? Everybody knew exactly what the offer was, and they bought like crazy. So I don't not ever do this because it works so good. Okay. Component number 3, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this, and then which means you're also going to get this, and you're going to get this, and then like I just told you, I'm going to add in this bonus as well. Which means the total value now is this price. Isn't that awesome? And I drop in some more closes, boom, recap again. So I'm going to stack it again, and then I give them the price, and then they can buy it. Okay, so that's kind of the form of how the stack works. Okay, guys. For those who were in Boise, Natasha was there, and I taught Natasha the stack probably 2 years ago. And she's one of my favorite people. She learned something, she applies it. She did the first webinar and she crushed it. And she did it again and she crushed it. She's like, I feel so cheesy, but I just do it because it works every single time. And she just killed it over and over and over again. And then she did her very first live event here in Boise. And she had a room, literally, I think her room had maybe 30 or 40 people. It was a smaller event. And she, at the end of the 3-day event or 2-day event, she did this presentation I used to sell her high-end coaching. And she did the stack. And she actually had huge boards up on the wall. It had the stack, but everything was kind of covered up. And one time she pulled the thing off, pulled the second thing off, and she did the whole thing. And boom, she did her stack, and she sold 10 people at $5,000, over $50,000 in sales from one presentation to a group of like 30 people by using the stack. And she swears by it. She won't ever not do it. And I'm the same way. Okay, after Armin showed it to me, I added it to my presentation. I went and did his event, and boom, I crushed it. I was the #1 salesperson at the event. I walked away with like almost $100,000 in sales, and I was like, this thing is awesome. And I just have used it every single time religiously since then. Actually, that's not true. Once I thought I was too smart and I didn't use it, and I bombed. I still remember the webinar. I was so embarrassed. I was doing it for some guy, and I thought I had a better idea than the stack, and I did it, and webinar bombed. And I've put it back in. I've never not done it since then. Okay, so that's the webinar works, you guys. Here's component number 1. Boom, talk about component number 1. Here's component number 2, which means you're gonna get this and this. Talk about that. You know, add testimonials. These little smiley faces are bonuses, testimonials, inserting closes, just a whole bunch of stuff to strengthen and fortify that next component. Then you restack it. Share the next thing, restack it. Share the next thing, restack it, and then boom. After you restack it all, now is when you come to the big price. Okay, that means the total price of all this stuff. Where did I do that on? The total price is somewhere. Boom. Okay, the total price is $11,998. So show the big, huge price. Now, most people, they do that and they get scared. They're like, oh, but don't worry, guys. I'm not going to charge you that. And what happens? You just lost your credibility. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see webinar people do. They show the big price and then they freak out. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to charge you that. And they move on. That's like the worst thing. And this is a tactic I learned from Dustin and Dave. Is as soon as I revealed a huge price, right? I show that $11,000 thing. Now I need to make that price. I need to justify that price in their head. If I don't justify that price in their head, then they're not. Then when I actually sell the product, it's not going to work. I have to get them mentally to believe that it's actually worth that. And if I don't, then I lost the sale. Okay, so after I show this high ticket thing, this now is where I actually add my if-all statements. Okay, I learned this from Dave Van Hoos. So I set the high price and I say, look, guys, I'm not going to charge $11,998 today. I could, but I'm not going to. But I want to ask you something. And then this is where you add your if-all. If all that this package did was blank, would it be worth it? If all this package did was finally make your business profitable, would it be worth $11,000? Yeah, I thought so. Now, if all this package did was finally give you the kick in the butt you need to get moving, would it be worth it? Yeah, I think so too. Now, if all this package did was give you 2 to 3 high-ticket clients per month, would that be worth it? Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'd trade $12,000 for 2 or 3, $5,000 to $10,000 sales a month all day long. This is a one-time investment. You do it once, you never have to pay again. But that knowledge, the information, everything you got will pay you forever. Okay? So these if-all statements, they solidify this price in their mind. Does that make sense, you guys? If-alls. And now I come back and say, but don't worry, guys, I'm not going to charge you that. In fact, what I'm going to do is, and then you start dropping the price. Okay? Now, I went a little bit further because I talked about 2 to 3 clients. What's that worth to them? And I said, and I want to ask you another question. Like, what's one client going to be worth to you? If your package at $5,000, it's worth $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 or more. So how much would you pay to get one high-ticket client per month? How about one per month, per week? How much per day? What would you pay for that? Okay, you probably would pay $12,000 if I could show you that, right? It's a good deal. But don't worry. Oh, and then also we had a couple people pay us $1 million to have something similar. So I again said in the value, like we've had people pay us over $1 million for this, literally, and you're getting it for a fraction. So don't worry. I'm not gonna price it at $5,000. I'm not going to do it for $2,000. I'm going to do it for $1,000. So price drop down. Now they're like, sweet, here's a really good deal. Okay, so there's my if-alls and my price drop, and then my call to action, which is go click on the order form or whatever it is. Okay, so that's kind of the framework of the close. Someone asked a question. Oh yeah, someone's asked, do I actually show the price multiple times? Yeah. So I don't ever show the price until I I hit the first time when the price drops. As soon as I hit the price the first time, then I give them the call to action. And then I usually have that call to action on every slide after that, because I'm going to keep selling after I've hit that. So I'm going to keep, again, I talk about a bonus here, and then I come back, boom, there's a call to action. And I drop another close, and then boom, another call to action. Call to action, call to action. So I have this thing, now that they know the prices, I want to keep pushing them. Like all these rest of these slides, the only goal of all the rest of these slides is to push them to go order. I'm trying to tip those people over who are sitting on the fence, who haven't done anything yet, pushing them, trying to get them over the edge so that boom, they'll fall in and they'll actually order. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go through these closes. So these closes are awesome. There's, what do we have? 16 of them here. 16 closes. Now some of you guys will be like, you close people 16 times during a webinar, Russell? And the answer is kind of. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. I don't always do all of them. I use a bunch of them though. So these are a bunch of them. These are not all the closes in the world. These are just 16 of them I have for you right now. I could make up more and come up with more. I've seen other speakers do more. Some of these are ones that I've done in the past. Some are ones I learned from a guy named Jason Flattle, and some are ones I've seen Armin do. Some are just, there's a whole bunch of different ones in here. And so I'm just going to show you kind of what they are and how they work. Let me find my notes here. So there's a bunch of them, and you'll kind of see as I go through here how I used a bunch of these. Let's see. All right. So I have like 30 pages of notes here that I was getting all ready before this. So I got to make sure I find them all right. Okay. So the money is good close. Funny enough, that's like the one I cannot find. I'll find that in a second. I'm gonna move on to this. I'll start disposable income and I'll come back to that when I find that one. Disposable income is one of my favorites. So if you come up here, you'll see where I use disposable income. Disposable income. Okay, so disposable income. This is where you talk about the fact that look, all of us have disposable income. Like most of you guys, you get your paycheck each month, and a percentage of that goes towards movies and towards things like that. And I'm not asking you guys to go into debt for this at all. What I'm trying to ask you guys to do is that some of that disposable income that you're going to spend on movies and going out to dinner and all that kind of stuff, instead of blowing it on something that's just going to be there and then kind of fade away and you're going to lose it, I'm asking you to make an investment in yourself, because the money you put into this is going to turn into more money. Okay, a lot of times, like talking about, I might talk about Robert Kiyosaki here. Like, if you guys have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, now in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talked about the difference between assets and liabilities. He said that the poor people, they buy liabilities. Okay, they buy cars, they buy boats, they buy these things you put money in and the money disappears. Okay, what the rich people do is they put their money into investments that actually turn into more money. So all I'm doing is ask you is to divert some of your disposable income into an investment, as opposed to something that's going to take money away from you. Okay, that's kind of how I do the disposable income close. Okay, money replenishes close. This one is one of my other favorite ones. So money replenishes is basically the concept is look, every single month you get a paycheck. In fact, I wonder where I put this one in here. Might not be able to find it on the fly. So as you can see though, I sprinkle these out throughout the stack. I'm not going to find it real quick. Anyway, money replenishes. So basically, this, like, look, this is how it works. Every 2 weeks, you get paid a paycheck, right? And the cool thing about it is you get that paycheck, you go out, you pay your bills, you buy your disposable income, you spend that money, and the money disappears, right? But what happens 2 weeks later? You get paid again. That money replenishes. And the cool thing about money is money always replenishes. Okay, every 2 weeks, it comes back again. Every 2 weeks, it comes back again. It keeps coming back in over and over and over again, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Does that happen with your time too? Like when you miss your daughter's soccer game because you're at the office, like, do you get that time back? No, it doesn't, huh? Isn't that weird? Like, money replenishes every single 2 weeks, but your time never comes back. So I'm asking you to do is to take an asset, take a resource that replenishes every 2 weeks is going to come back. You're going to get that money back every 2 weeks, and invest in something that's going to save you a ton of time. Because you can learn this stuff. You can go do what I did. You can go hire 60 salespeople. You can go and build your own call center. You can build a sales team. You can hire. You can do all this stuff. But I'm trying to do with this package that I created for you guys, I'm just trying to save you a bunch of time, okay? And because you can't get your time back, I'm asking you to take money, which is replenishable, which in 2 weeks from now, you're going to have that money back anyway. It doesn't even matter. And do that to help, to give you something that's going to save you the time, Okay, so you show them how money replenishes, and they're like, yeah, you're right, it's going to be back. But my time, wow, my time doesn't come back. Okay, and you can learn this stuff on your own. And then again, this works in any market. You can go learn how to lose weight on your own. But man, that time you waste testing and trial, that time doesn't come back. Your money's going to be back in 2 weeks. It keeps coming back like clockwork. Okay, and that's how it works. Even if you lose your job, guess what? The government's going to replenish it for you. It keeps coming back. Okay, so take some of that money, blow it on my stuff instead, and then it'll be back in 2 weeks anyway. Okay, all right. Next close is the break old habits close. This one's awesome because in the webinar they're all fired up, they're excited. Like, I want to ask you guys a question. So a lot of you guys, you've probably been on these kind of webinars before in the past, right? You get excited, you get fired up, and what happens the next day? Probably nothing for most of you guys. Okay, and it's sad because I just showed you guys the exact system I'm using right now to make $100,000 a week. You're gonna go back tomorrow and not do anything. Okay, and the reason why is because old habits that are hard to break. Okay, you'll go back to your office next day and you're gonna be back to the exact same habit. The only way you're gonna be successful is if we figure out a way to break that habit right now. Okay, and the way you're gonna break that habit is by investing in this course. Now I can come here and I can help you and give you all the tools you need to break that habit so you can become successful. Then tell you, if you don't do that, you're gonna slide back to your exact habit. Okay, everything we did for the last hour here will be completely useless because you're gonna slip back to your old habits. So the only way to break that is to invest right now. So now you have the tools to break that habit and be able to take this to the next level. Okay, that's the break habit close. Let's see. The money is good. I don't know why in the world I can't think of the money is good close. All right. Okay, information alone close. So information alone is basically, look, guys, over the last 90 minutes, we've shared a ton of information with you. But as you know, information alone is not going to save you. Okay, you need systems, you need action, you need all this other stuff I'm sharing with you. Okay, for mine, it's like you need to talk to Robbie on the phone. He can train your salespeople. You need the scripts. You need this. You need all this other stuff, okay? I've given you a ton of information last hour, but information alone will not get you to where you want to be. You need my package because that's what's going to help you to get to the next level. That's what's going to give you the coaching, the accountability, the whatever it is your offer is. That's where you're going to get that, okay? Money or excuses. Look, this is the way it is. People in life, they can have one of two things. They can have money or they can have excuses. That's it. Okay, and so right now you got two options. One is you can sign up, you can get involved, and now you can go make money. Or number two is you can come up with some excuse. Why you couldn't afford it, why you couldn't do it this time, why you don't have enough time, why you don't, whatever your excuse is today, that's fine. But the reality is you can't have both. You can have money or excuses, and you got to decide right now which one you want. Kind of about you, but I'd rather have money, and so that's why you need to go invest right now. Okay, money or excuses. All right. Oh, good. Mike just hooked me up with money is good. Okay. Thank you, Mike. It's always kind of nerve-wracking when you're on a live webinar to make sure you get them all. So money is good. So come back to money is good close. So what Mike basically said, like a lot of people think money is evil. Okay. They look at it as a bad thing. Money is not bad. All money is a tool for exchange. Okay. So what's cool about it is you spend money right now to get something bigger in return. Okay, and it's a tool for exchange. That's all it is. It's just this, because the problem that most people have, you guys, this is why the money is good, clothes is good, is people have this weird like love-hate relationship with money. Like money is this thing that they struggle with, and they have so much passion, and you have to like disassociate that with it. So you break it down like money's just a tool for exchange, right? You go to the grocery store, you give them money, they give you food. Okay, you're exchanging stuff. That's all it is. And right now we're just asking you to exchange some of that money for this thing, and if it's worth more to you than the money, then it's a fair trade for you and for me. And so that's why the money is good, clothes works good. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay. Information alone. Okay. Money or excuses. All right. Your two choices. So your two choices. This one's really cool because this one justifies why you're charging a lot of money. So you say, look, this is the way it is, you guys. I had two choices when I was putting together this package. The first choice was I can make it really cheap, charge like $97, and we could sell tons of people. Everyone have access to it. And that was one option, okay? But the problem with that is that with just that one option is that I can't put in the time or the effort, the resources to really serve you. So instead of like selling, 10,000 people this thing at $97, what I decided to do is to help you, because I wanted to give you more personal attention. I decided to charge a lot more. Okay, I decided to charge $2,000. That way, it justifies me spending more time and more effort. And I'm guessing for most of you guys, you'd probably rather have a little more effort from me, right? So that's why I decided to charge more for what I'm selling. Okay, your two choices. And it's just, it makes them like, yeah, I'm glad he's charging me more money because now I can, now he's going to spend more time with me and all these other things, right? Okay, that's the your two choices. Then it shifts over to their two choices, all right? All right. Okay, so with their two choices, now instead of what choices you're making, it's choices that they're going to make, right? So the choices right now, you got two decisions. Choice number one is you can go invest. You can get started in the next 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, you can have this entire system up and running and making money. Or you can end this webinar right now. You go to bed tonight. You kind of sit around, and tomorrow you wake up and you do the exact same thing you're doing right now. Okay, you got choices as well, and you just got to decide like which choice is more exciting. Which one do you want in your life? Do you want to go back to exactly what was happening yesterday? I'm guessing not. Otherwise, why did you register for this webinar? Okay, you're trying to lose weight. You show up this webinar. You need help. Okay, so you got two choices. Either it's get help, let's fix this problem for you, or go back and keep doing what you're doing already. I don't know about you, but that second option never makes me happier. That's why I want to help you right now. Okay, so you're showing them their two choices and kind of downplaying and making the choice of going back to the regular life look horrible and get them excited about the life that you're trying to offer them. Okay? All right, us versus them. Us versus them is where we start shifting into the people that you want on your team versus those who you don't want. In fact, I think I showed it here. Yeah. So this one, I stole this example from Jason Fladlin. I did the tale of two people. So I was like, look, there's two kind of people who show up on these webinars. First one's the timid, nervous guy or gal who gets on here and like they think it's really cool and they want to do it, but they just don't take action. Okay. I don't know about you, but I don't like working with those people. Like those people never successful. Okay, the people like us, right? Who they get on this, they hear it, they understand it, they step up and they want to produce, and boom, they come out here and they make results and make things happen. So I'm gonna ask you guys, what are you? Are you this guy or are you this guy? If you're this guy, it's probably a good time to hang up on the webinar right now. I don't want to make you feel guiltier than you already do. But if you're ready to take some massive action in your life and do some cool stuff and change your life for the better, if you want to join us, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Come sign up right now. highticketsecrets.com/go. Right? I pitch it back on the thing again. All right. Reluctant Hero is awesome. This is right here. This is my Reluctant Hero slide. Look, guys, I'm nothing special. Because that's the problem. When you just by the fact that you're the webinar presenter, people think you're magic. They think you're special, right? So you got to come back and remind them, like, look, I'm nothing special. Okay, I personally cannot pick up the phone and sell things. I don't know how to drive Facebook traffic. I spent 10 years of trial and error to discover this thing that works super, super easy. And you can either go and do it the hard way and go figure it out yourself, or just do what I did. Just plug it in. Like, it works. It's awesome. And I'm nothing special. I'm just a normal guy just like you. And if I can do it, I promise you can do it. Okay, that's the Reluctant Hero close. I missed. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I missed a couple of them. Sorry, I missed the handhold. The handhold close. If you have like a members area, the handhold close works really good. It's where you basically go and you say, look, in fact, let's break away from the presentation. I'm going to show you this thing. And you log in. This is what it looks like. When you buy, this is what's you're going to go to this page and fill out this form. After you buy, you're going to go on this page right here. This is when you're going to log in the members area. This is where you submit a form. You can talk to me. And you kind of just walk them through the process so they can see it. You're hand holding them through the process. And it's not just logging in the members area. Usually it's the entire sign-up process. That's where people get more intimidated. So if you show them, here's the order form, here's you put your credit card in. After that, you're taking this page right here. Then you're going to do this. And you kind of just show them the process. Okay. All right. Which ones am I missing? I skipped around a little bit. Us versus them we got. Only excuses we got. Handheld, reluctant. So I think I got these 4 left. Okay. All right. Say goodbye. This is where you start talking about the things in their life they hate. So I come back and it's like, look, guys, this is the deal. For a lot of you guys, you have been trying to do high-ticket sales and you hate the phones. I want you right now to say with me, say goodbye. Your phone phobia is gone forever. A lot of you guys are scared because of whatever. Whereas right now, because of what you just bought, you can say goodbye forever. Okay, and so I start like taking all these fears and I'm basically dismissing them with them. Okay, so a lot of times I'll drop this between the stacks. Let's say I know one of my stack points is talking about they're scared about hiring. So my bonus is like, hey, I'm going to give you all of our ads, our interview process, our hiring. So if you're nervous about like, I don't know how to run an ad, you can say goodbye to that fear forever because I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you our ad. I'm going to give you the interview process. I'm going to give you everything. It's gone forever. Boom. So I'm helping them say goodbye to all the fears that they're having, all the things they're keeping them back and what they're trying to do, right? Okay, if you only got's a great one to drop at each step of the stack. So I show this and I'm like, isn't that awesome? Now, if you only got that piece alone, it would still be worth the investment. But that's not, but on top of that, I'm also giving you, and then you go to the next thing. Okay, again, I'm justifying what they just bought. If that's all I gave you, it'd still be worth it, but you're getting something even more. That's if you only got clothes. Now and later clothes. This is kind of again, it comes back to So this pre-framing thing, right? So like right now in your life, you're struggling with this, you're struggling with this, you're struggling with all these things you're struggling with. But later, after you invest in this package, those things are gone. Okay, right now, these are a big issue for you. Right now, you have no idea how to sell high-ticket stuff. But later, after you invest, all those problems are gone. Okay, so you bring them where they are right now, the current frustrations, and you show them how investing makes those things magically disappear, now and later. And then your close is usually the very end where you're like, look, guys, this is it. Webinar's over. Go sign up right now. Again, go to click the button or sign below. Go to www.highticketsecrets.com/go, and you keep pushing them to the call to action, to the URL, over and over and over again, as many times as you can. Okay. Now, that's kind of it, you guys. So there's your stack. You're sprinkling in all these awesome closes along the way. And again, you don't have to use all of them. Just use a couple of them at each step in here to the point where you feel comfortable. If you feel cheesy, don't put all of them in, but pick the ones that make the most sense to you, that you really enjoy, that you like, you can kind of tie your own personality around, and sprinkle those things throughout this stack process. If you guys follow that to a T, I promise you, if you're in front of an event, people run the back of the room. You're on a webinar, people are going to go to this URL, as long as your offer's good. But if your offer's awesome and you wrap it with this perfect webinar, you guys, it just works. Okay, and I got 2 more secrets for you, and then I got to bounce for today. But the first one, this is a little thing we started adding to our webinars. We saw a 25% increase in sales. On the last slide, a lot of people, they still have one question and they're just nervous about it. So on the last slide, I said, look, guys, if you still have questions, that's fine. I understand that. I want you guys to lock in your spot right now. So what you can do is, if you have a question, all you got to do is call our secure voicemail line at this number, and then leave a detailed message with your full name, your address, your phone number, and your credit card number with expiration. And don't worry, I'm not going to charge you right now. I just want to make sure you're actually serious. You're not just calling to be a looky-loo. If you're serious about this, you just have a question, give me everything, including your credit card, and I will not bill it. I swear to you, I won't bill it. But what happens, as soon as we get that information in, either me or my assistant will call you today or tomorrow, and we will personally answer your question. And then if you're okay with everything, then we'll bill your credit card. Does that sound fair? And people are like, yeah, sure. And all of a sudden, you'll start seeing your voice light up, your voicemail. So for this, we set up a Google Voice number, and people, they log in and they leave their message, leave their phone number, and we got a 25% increase in sales from adding that little thing in there. From all those people who they're in, they just got one question, it's magic. Okay, so that's a really good one. And the last one, this one's kind of a bigger thing, kind of an overall hierarchy principle. I learned this initially from a guy named Ted Thomas. They call him the Pied Piper because when he speaks at like a Robert Kiyosaki event, I've seen pictures of him where he'll literally be walking around the room and he'll have a line of like 500 people all holding their credit card, following him behind him, waving their credit cards, and they'll follow him to the back of the room. And it's pretty awesome. Anyway, they call him the Pied Piper because of that. And I met him at an event. He saw me speak, and then afterwards he pulled me aside. He said, Russell, you did great. You did sales were good. But he said, do you notice one thing? He said, when you were speaking, so I was sitting in the back of the audience, and you did a great job. People signed up, they were excited, but I noticed nobody's heads were moving. He said, when you come to my audience and you watch me speak, he said, and you're sitting in the back of the room, it looks like you're watching a wave. He said, everybody's heads are nodding up and down the entire 90 minutes. Okay, and he said, do you know how I do that? I said, no, how do you do it? He said, I do it by this little thing called trial closes. Okay, all a trial closes is something I throw out there to get somebody to say yes. Does that make sense? Okay, I said, does that make sense? Because that was a trial close. You guys probably notice I say that a lot. Okay, I say, isn't that awesome? You guys getting this? Isn't this exciting? Like when you see how this all works, and everyone listening at home saying, yeah, that is exciting. That is cool. And they start nodding their heads yes. Okay, so the first time I learned about these trial closes, I went back to an automated webinar I had, and I literally went through and I rewatched the entire 3-hour-long webinar, and I listened to every single spot I could insert a trial close, and I wrote this thing out, and I had my brother record me, or I record myself saying each of these little trial closes, and I had my brother, who does my video stuff, insert those trial closes in my entire 3-hour webinar. And then we started running it, and our profit per webinar registrant went from $9.40 a person up to $16. It was like we almost doubled our income just by adding in these trial closes. It's crazy. Okay. Now for me, when I first started doing this, what I would do is I would take all these trial closes and I'd write them down on note cards and I put them all over my desk. And when I was giving webinars, I looked down and I would say them. I would get to a spot and I'd be like, isn't that awesome? Are you guys getting this? Okay. Do you guys see how this would help you in your life? Can you imagine what it'd be like if you were doing this every single day? Okay, and I started saying that all over the place. And now it's the point where if you guys have just watched this webinar, I'm not even trying to close you, but I guarantee your heads have been nodding. I've been dropping trial closes every 10 seconds on you guys. It's just how I speak now, right? And it's something you guys will learn as well. But trial closes are powerful, and the best place to add trial closes, besides the entire presentation, but anytime you share a success story or you share one of your big secrets. Most people will share a testimonial and then they move on. Okay, when you share a testimonial, you should drop 5 or 6 trial closes right afterwards. So I just showed how Susie did this thing and she lost 30 pounds, and then I'm going to stop and be like, isn't that awesome? What happened? Can you imagine if you lost 30 pounds right now? Would that be awesome? What would that mean for you in your life if you lost 30 pounds? Would your spouse look at you a little differently? Okay, would your kids think about you differently? That'd be pretty great, don't you think? We might start 5 trial closes and then move on. Okay, I share a secret when I talk about, again, for me, the secret up here about, right here, like don't have to pick up the phone. So I share my secret. I'm like, wouldn't that be great if you could make high ticket sales without picking up the phone? Isn't that awesome? Like, I don't know about you, but I'm scared about it. Are you guys scared about picking up the phones? Yeah, me too. Like, wouldn't that be great if you could do that? Like, just imagine how it would change your life. Okay, so I'm dropping these trial closes all over the place. Okay, so next time you guys watch one of my webinars, look for the trial closes. They're everywhere, okay? And just start using them in your everyday language pattern. Natasha, same thing. I talk about trial closes, and she swears by them. She uses them all day long, every day, and it's pretty awesome. So, cool. Well, you guys, I've got to actually run. We've been on for over an hour now, and I've got an appointment here in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to end the webinar, but I hope this was awesome for you guys. I will try to get this presentation out to you hopefully before this weekend, and I'll also give you a copy of this image because this will help you from a structure standpoint, and I'll get those to you guys hopefully, if not today, Monday would be the latest, but hopefully sooner than that. And for those of you guys who are working on webinars, now you've got really a good framework and a tool to kind of work through, and hopefully you've seen how I've done it. If you want to see this webinar live and see me doing it actual live, if you just go to highticketsecrets.com, the webinar is still live on the homepage right now, I believe. You can go watch that this weekend and just see me pitch this product and see, and I guarantee that you guys will want to buy it by the end. But if you're in the Inner Circle program, don't buy it. You guys already have it in the members area. But yeah, it's you'll see the process and see how the whole thing works. Cool. All right. Isn't that great? Yeah, Eugene's dropping trial closes on me through the chat. This is awesome. That's awesome. I love it, you guys. Cool. Eugene's dropped like 10 trial closes in a row. So wasn't that a great webinar? Can you see all of us doing this one too? I love it. Love it. Cool. All right, you guys. One more question. Someone said, how does this webinar different from a story selling webinar? So a story selling webinar, I'm usually trying to sell somebody. I'm telling a story to get them to do the next thing, right? Sign up for an invisible funnel webinar to do something different. This is like just a straight sales webinar. If I've got a $2,000 package or $1,000 package and I want to sell it, this is the script I use. So good question. All right, guys, I got to bounce. Appreciate you all. Great to have you in our coaching program. And we're gonna keep giving you awesome stuff. I'll notify you guys about our next training coming up soon. And yeah, that's it, you guys. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.